Did you guys watch the latest? Uh, it's the latest docuseries on The Biggest Loser. It's called Fit for TV, and it is now on Netflix. I think it had 3 or 4 episodes. I just finished watching it the other day, and I thought, you know what? Let me give my thoughts on The Biggest Loser. It's been, I think most trainers have thought about The Biggest Loser once or twice. When I was young, I mean, it has 17 seasons, The Biggest Loser. 17 seasons. It was widely popular. And why was that? Because they made it entertaining, right? I mean, it's an entertaining show. Um, but it's still a show, right? It's a reality TV show, a reality contest, kind of like Survivor or any of the other shows you watch out there. Yeah, there's a big time human element involved because we're talking about severely obese people trying to lose weight. So emotionally and mentally, there are a lot of issues that go along with that. And then, of course, there's the whole physical side of it, the exercise and the extreme nutrition guidelines that they were following. Now, my thoughts, first of all, the show itself, the docuseries, is entertaining. It's nice to get a little backstory, a little behind the scenes if you haven't researched things on your own. So they put it together in this nice docuseries. So if you haven't been paying attention, you can follow along. And then you go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, or I didn't know this. And what am I talking about? Well, first of all, how the show even came about. So one of the creators, producers of the show, he was at the gym one day. He's a fit person. And he was leaving after, changing out in the locker room, and he saw a posting, this was a long time ago, so it wasn't like a digital post. It was a piece of paper written up on a board, and it said, basically, I'll paraphrase, but I really need help, signed, an obese person. I don't, that's basically the gist of it, right? Somebody's crying out for help, and they said they were obese. And they're just looking for somebody to help them lose the weight. And he said, ooh, I think that's an idea for a show right there. That's a great idea for a show. And he was right, obviously, because it went 17 seasons on NBC. It ended up branching out throughout the world. And other countries jumped onto it, licensed it, made them a fortune. Now, the contestants that went on the show, they were competing for $250,000 prize. And also, the reason they most went on there, though, was because they were desperate. They needed, just like that person who wrote the note, they are desperate. They needed someone to help them because they were incapable of helping themselves at this point. And so they hired a couple of trainers, and in the beginning, that was Jillian Michaels and Bob Harper. They had experience with training at the time, I believe, with like group instruction. So that's what they were going to be dealing with, right? Group fitness. You're going to have a group of people, and you were going to train them and coach them to help them lose weight. Now, I don't know, from what I've seen, Jillian and Bob had certifications in group fitness type of training, cardio type of stuff, aerobic stuff. But I don't know that they necessarily had a nutrition component except for what usually comes with a certification. So that's really just a very basic nutritional course incorporated into your certified personal training or group instruction. And so it's limited a bit, right? You're not going to dig in deep. You're not going to really understand the metabolic pathways, and you may have very, very basic knowledge on the macronutrients like carbs, fats, proteins, and how they play a part in your energy needs for the day. Also, what are your energy needs? What's safe? What's extreme? Things like that. We all know, and The Biggest Loser kind of re-emphasizes this, but we all know that starving yourself does cause dramatic weight loss. How do we know that? We know that because, unfortunately, there have been war camps, prisoners of war. Think of the Holocaust, right? Those people were not getting fat while they were in those concentration camps. The soldiers that were captured and were part of the Bataan Death March, they were not getting fat. They were running on extremely low caloric intake, and physical demands were higher. So it's a given, right? When you don't have enough energy and you're burning too much, you're going to waste. Your muscle's going to waste. Your body fat's going to go down. You're going to lose lean mass, fat mass, everything. You're going to waste away. So we know that. And what do they do on The Biggest Loser? Well, watching the docuseries, you find out that the contestants were targeting a caloric burn of at least 6,000 calories a day. 6,000 calories a day. For most of us, that would require that fitness was our full-time job. Now, for them, at this point, it was a full-time job. Why is it a big deal? Should it be a big deal? Well, it's a big deal because they were also on a caloric deficit that was extreme. They were eating about 800 calories a day. 800. So you're asking yourself to keep up an exercise or a energy expenditure of 6,000 calories while only consuming 800 calories. And there's still diets out there like this. There's a lot of them like that where they'll preach to you to consume less than 1,000 calories. Now, what is the benefit to that? It's extreme weight loss and quick. But if you prolong that after a period of time, sometimes your metabolism can get a little screwed up because you're doing it for too long of a period, and then we can have a problem with something called metabolic adaptation syndrome. Also, your resting metabolism gets a little screwed up this way too, because your body says, "Hey, I can tolerate that a low amount of calories and maintain this body weight." And a lot of the contestants, what you find out as you're watching is that they went from dropping 130 pounds or more, significant weight loss, right? And they did this within about a 6-month period. They did this, and it was their full-time job. I go back to that. It was their full-time job, and they were in a nice, controlled environment at a ranch. Food was controlled. The exercise was prescribed. They were under the guidance of the trainers and a medical staff. So that was that was what they had to do. And so, they were able to do that. But when they left, that's a long time to be on a caloric restriction, 6 months, and with that high of an energy burn or demand every day. And we know that 3,500 calories equates to about a pound. So you guys do the math. I'm not going to math it out for you, but they were encouraged to lose quite a bit of weight in quite a short amount of time overall when we're thinking about that. So, and my thoughts on that are totally unhealthy. Would never recommend it. Don't believe in it. Think it's crap. But for the show purposes, you got to show that dramatic weight loss. You can't be following these people around forever. Plus, you have to throw in these goofy contests that really humiliated obese people. When you watch it now, you realize it was just about humiliating them because, unfortunately, as human beings, what videos get a lot of play? People falling and hurting themselves, fail videos, right? We love watching them. And then people who are fat, they get picked on. They get made fun of all the time, right? There's a lot of videos out there for that too. They show them, like jumping into a pool and then somebody will cut to a tidal wave or something like that. And it still goes on. And in these shows, the Biggest Loser shows, they would have them have temptation challenges where they would make them like carry around food in their mouth and see if they were going to eat it. Or they'd say, "Hey, eat this and we'll give you, a phone call with your family," or something like that. So they were trying to mess with them, and it was really crazy that they would do that because these people are already struggling. I mean, they're struggling up here. They have a lot of psychological needs besides the physical needs. And so when we talk about losing weight, a lot of times we need to encompass the entire wellness picture, right? The mentality, the mental issues that go along with the weight issues. They usually go hand in hand. I'm not going to say they always do, but generally they do. And that's why many of these contestants after the show had a real tough time keeping the weight off because they would fall back into their old habits. They didn't have the habits built. This is what I talk about when I talk about GLP-1s. GLP-1s work. We know they work. But if you don't have good habits when it comes to eating and fitness, so nutrition and fitness, if you haven't built those good habits in, if you're not happy with yourself, if you're emotionally tied to food, the GLP-1 is going to be something you're stuck doing forever. You know, they say, oh, you have to do it all the time. Well, if you build good habits, you might not have to do it all the time. But if you don't, the GLP-1 is your Band-Aid. It's stuck on you forever. And this show kind of, I think, helped reinforce that idea, at least in my head, that the habit building had to be there. And they weren't really building the habit. They were just too extreme. These people were going through this extreme weight loss. They were working out until they threw up. The coaches were hardcore. They wanted to make good TV. The producers wanted the coaches to be in their face, wanted them to basically come off like drill instructors, like boot camp. I've been to boot camp once in the Coast Guard, and then I call it boot camp again because when I went through the California Highway Patrol Academy, that's 6 months of a live-in academy, and we physically trained constantly, and trust me, it was a lot like boot camp. And for about the first month, it was probably at least as hard as the boot camp training I went through. And that's okay, because then you're supposed to be in stress, right? You're supposed to stress those people out because they're going to be dealing in a career or working in a career where stress is part of your daily function. And you need to be able to handle that stress, right? You need it. But when you're trying to help somebody, really help them, really teach them, educate them, coach them, they don't all need to be belittled and yelled at. They need to be coached. And sometimes not everybody responds to the aggressive yelling at type of coaching. Some people do though. I'm kind of a hardhead. Like I said, I went through 2 boot camps, and you yell at me, I usually do get motivated. My grandfather said that back in the day. He was like, man, you are like a mule. I need to whack you in the head with a 2x4 to get you to do something. That's a little extreme, grandfather, a little extreme. But he was kind of right because I was a hardhead. And when you would yell at me, that would light my fire and I'd get going. But not everybody's like that. My son, he needs to be talked to and encouraged. Same with my wife. If I yell at my wife, a whole lot of things are going to go wrong for me. But she also will shut down. She does not take that and use it as a constructive way to get herself motivated. She just shut down and withdraw. And you could see that with a lot of these contestants too. Some of them really stepped up to it. Others were just not happy. And you could see it. And what you did is you made them, an unhappy person, that much more unhappy and feeling unsafe as well. And that's not what we want to do as coaches. So when I watched The Biggest Loser, Fit for TV, what my thoughts was, oh my God, what a horrible way to coach anybody. And as a trainer, I'd be kind of embarrassed if I was part of that. The money was good. I guess there was one scene where one of the contestants had lost so much weight and did really well. And Jillian Michaels hugged him at the end. She was so excited because her team won. But not only that, because he had just made her a millionaire. And I think that was off of season 1. And so you go, oh, okay. So, everyone's motivated financially to some extent. I think we all are. We want to be successful. We want to be rewarded financially for what we do. But at the sake of what, right? I don't know. For me, it's I'm in a different place in my life, so I'm not financially dependent on the success of nutrition and fitness coaching. I'm not right now. I don't. That's not my focus. My focus is to help people. And when I watch this, I go, that's not the best way to help people. Honestly, it's not. And I feel bad for a lot of these people. A lot of them, majority of them gained the weight. Some went back, had gastric bypass surgeries just to help. Other people are just kind of lost, man, and they're just stuck. They're weighing even more. They're unhappy. They don't get it, but their habits never changed either, and that's a problem. So what the show showed is that, yeah, you can lose weight in extreme ways. You can make it entertaining for people to watch. And it is an encouragement to some extent for some, knowing that it can be done. But unfortunately, the long-term effects show that it wasn't sustainable. So if you're looking for sustainability, let's take it and make it a more of a moderate approach. Let's try to lose a pound or 2 a week, max. Let's do it gradually so we don't screw our metabolism up. Let's eat so we're not starving ourselves. Let's pick the right kind of foods though. Let's make them whole foods. Let's make them fruits, vegetables, seeds. You can have nuts and lean protein sources, okay? And let's just keep it simple like that. You'll be healthier. You'll create something sustainable. It'll be a good habit you'll form, and then throw in your exercise. If you're not an exerciser right now, it's okay. Maybe start with a 10-minute walk. We all know about these. We know walking's great. If you're starting to have high blood sugar levels, you're going from that, into that pre-diabetic, maybe close to diabetic, type 2 diabetes level. Then after you eat your meals, go for that walk. Bring that blood sugar down. Exercise. It's going to help you out. We know that exercise is medicine. Movement is medicine. We know it. It's researched. It shows it. It improves everything. Everything. So if you can build that habit of starting to work some exercise into your daily routine, and everybody has that time. I don't care what you say. People will say, I don't have the time. I'm going to call bullshit on that, because so many of us spend at least 30 minutes scrolling through our phone, sitting there looking at Instagram, stupid videos. We look at it 30 minutes, easy. You should spend that going for a walk. If you're not an exerciser, go for that walk instead. Start doing it. There are ways around it if you can't walk right now. There are other exercises you can do. But you need to find the right coach that can help you with that. And then the nutrition, just start building those habits. Stop hitting the fast food places. Stop buying the packaged foods. Don't fall for the gimmick of it has protein in it either. If it's a processed food in a bag, or a box, or probably a can, even if it says it has protein in it, it probably has a bunch of other crap too, and it's not good for you. So stick to the lean protein sources, the fish, the poultry. You can have red meat, things like that. And then stick to the vegetables and the fruits, and you can't go wrong. It's going to help you out in the long term. That's my little rant. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's a long one, long-winded. And my thought just to conclude on the whole Biggest Loser Fit for TV thing. The series is entertaining. I liked it. I liked watching it. It reminded me of a lot of bad habits I don't want to fall into with training clients. I'm not making you puke. It's not my thing, and it's not going to help you long term. I don't get off on it, but there are trainers out there that still do. Don't go to those trainers. That's all I'm going to say, unless you want to throw up your breakfast. All right. We'll cut it off there. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. And, let me know what your thoughts are. Did you see Fit for TV? What did you guys think? Would you want a trainer that whoops your ass like that? Whoops you till you puke? Is that what you want? I mean, I don't. Let me know. Like, subscribe, comment. Be curious to hear what you guys think.